Aljamain Sterling listed potential matchups in the featherweight division after UFC 314, and Jean Silva responded. Aljo posted this clip and said he'd like to fight Diego Lopes next.
My 3 top opponents that I would like to fight on my way to trying to eventually fight for a world title. So I would like to see Volkanovski versus Mosar. I think that matchup makes sense. I would love the opportunity for me to fight Diego Lopes next. And then I think maybe Pitbull, maybe he welcomes Aaron Pico to the UFC. And I think it's an opportunity for both these guys to show if they belong. Or, I mean, you can mix them up with somebody else. There's Lerone Murphy there, another undefeated prospect at the weight class. Yair is coming off a win over Pitbull. I can see Yair versus Lerone Murphy or Yair versus Diego Lopes. But then you have Brian Ortega, who's probably not looking to return maybe anytime soon, hopefully by the summer, just to keep the division moving. So those are matchups that interest me. I would either like to fight Diego Lopes or Brian Ortega. I think those are the most logical fights, or Arnold Allen.
Jean Silva responded to that clip saying, "You versus Ortega, me versus Volkanovski. Evloev fired. This is the right narrative." Silva also posted this to his Instagram, making the case for why he should fight Volk next. He wrote, "I don't think anyone is going to give me anything. If it's not a title shot, then it better be a fight that puts me right there. But let's look at the facts. Volk said he wants to stay active and face the best in the division. I've already proven that I deserve it and that I'm the best. Diego Lopes got a title shot with 5 wins and 1 loss, with 2 of those wins by decision, while I have 5 wins, all by finish. This is the fight that makes sense. I deserve it and I'm ready. I faced the biggest knockout artist at lightweight and knocked him out. I took on one of the best grapplers in the division and submitted him. I beat a guy who has never been knocked out, and I knocked him out. And I also faced a multi-time world kickboxing champion and knocked him out too. If I don't deserve a title shot, I don't know who does. I trust the UFC, Dana White, Hunter, and Sean Shelby. I'm ready for whatever they decide." Dustin Poirier was impressed with the way Paddy Pimblett was able to take Michael Chandler down and dominate him. Dustin also gives his thoughts on who Paddy should fight next. In an interview with MMA Junkie, Dustin said he's legit. How can I deny him anymore? Chandler's a tough guy. I don't think Chandler looked great. He had a good first round, got Paddy down, wrist rode him against the fence, kind of squeaked it out, but he looked flat after that. He looked heavy on his feet. He looked exhausted. Like I said on the desk, everyone's odometer has a different mileage where things start to slow down. The wheels start to shake. Maybe that's his time now, but only he knows that. I definitely think Chandler didn't look great, but not taking away from Paddy's performance. Paddy went out there, dropped the first round, came out confident, and hit Chandler with good shots. Then he took him down. Who would have had that on their bingo card that Paddy is going to take down Chandler to the mat like that and get on top of him and dominate him like that? Paddy's the real deal. The guy was a prospect. Now he's a contender. You have to take him for real now. Not that Chandler wasn't a big fight, but his next fight has to be a really big one, like a Mateusz Gamrot, Arman Sarukian, Charles Oliveira. Behind the scenes, I've got stuff, so I can't entertain that, and I'm only fighting one more time. But for me as a fan, put him in there with Dan Hooker. That would be an incredible fight. That's a fun fight. The build-up is going to be fun. Dan is going to stand and trade with him. Dan has good takedown defense on the ground. That's the fight, I think. Robert Whittaker was highly impressed with Jean Silva's submission victory over Bryce Mitchell. According to Rob, it didn't even look like Silva was going 100%, yet Bryce still couldn't find any answers for him.
Mate, Silva... It looked like Silva was just... For one, Silva's crazy as hell.
Yeah.
Like, proper crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I don't know what it was. Bryce Mitchell just like... Silva just beat him up, man. Like, I felt like Silva just controlled the entire fight. He was just like...
Yeah.
He wasn't even going 100%. Does that make sense? Like
he was like toying with him, man. He was like looking the other way and showboating.
Yeah, the showboating, the body language.
Yep.
And I don't know, Bryce Mitchell didn't really have an answer for it. That sort of choke comes on so tight. Like
it was beautiful, hey.
Yeah, it comes on so tight, and you could see Bryce Mitchell was in danger for the guillotine every time he went for a takedown.
Yeah,
like Silva was just looking for it. It looks like he's got the arms and the body language for like a good guillotine. He looks like a guy that can guillotine well.
Yeah,
and obviously he can, right? But yeah, I don't know whether Silva's right now. I don't know whether Silva's just that good that he can go 50% against Bryce and win in that fashion, or if like the showboating, the confidence, the unhingedness kind of lends itself to that kind of aura. And I think it was off-putting for Bryce as well. Bryce just didn't look comfortable in there at any stage of the fight.
No.
Marvin Vettori's brother, Patrick Vettori, tragically passed away last night in a house fire. He was just 29 years old. Marvin posted a series of photos of the two on his Instagram. In the caption, he wrote, "You were and always will be number one, my little brother. You left a void that cannot be filled. I will love you until my last breath. I don't think I'll be the same after today, because maybe I never told you, but you've always been my strength. You were the smartest of the two. You were creating a wonderful future for yourself, and I can't get over it. It is said that Jesus calls back the most beautiful souls prematurely, to have them with him in heaven. And then I hope that you are there with him, looking and watching over us with that goodness that has always set you apart. I love you, my brother, and even though it won't be easy to continue life without you, it gives me heart to know that one day I'll be buried next to you." On a recent Aiden Ross live stream, Drake told a story about Dana White tipping a bartender $15,000 after she told him she wanted to be a photographer.
Shout out to Dana, by the way, who supported you. And
that was love, bro.
Shout out to Dana. I told you a crazy Dana story.
You did. You
didn't tell him live.
No, I didn't.
No, I saw one time, I'll never forget, where I saw Dana White, like early UFC days. This is one of the this is like really what taught me about like etiquette and just like how to treat like people when you want to make them feel like extra special when they least expect it. Like I remember I saw Dana White tip this girl who was just like super engaged with him at the bar, just like, you know, like just being a great, just being a great like human being of service in that moment. And Dana White, this is years ago, like probably 2014, he tipped this girl $15K.
Just like that, no reason.
Because she was like, I want to be a photographer, and he's like, well, $15K should get you everything that you would want, and she was floored. So shout out to Dana White. That was one of the best things I've ever seen. Ever since then, I tip crazy.
You do?
Yeah. If I order like Uber Eats, I tip like 5 bills.
You have to.
Orders like $40.
Wait, 5,000?
No, like 500.
100? Still, bro. Damn. You know what's crazy?
Shout out to all my Uber Eats drivers. You already know who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They know me too. They hit me like in the chat. Shit.
Michael Bisping labels Michael Chandler's loss to Paddy Pimblett as a career-killing performance. Bisping does not believe Chandler will ever fight for a UFC title again. On his YouTube channel, Bisping said, "I don't say this lightly, but that was a career-killing performance for Michael Chandler. Yes, of course he'll fight again. Yes, he'll still make money. Yes, people will want to tune in. But that's it. There ain't no more talks. There is no more see you at the top. There's none of that. Paddy Pimblett just put an end to all of that. If he was 30 years old, he could have another go. He could dust himself off and have another crack at the whip. But no, Father Time is undefeated. He's 38 years old, and there ain't no way he's getting back into title contention ever again." Paddy Pimblett looked ridiculous. He looked like the guy that he's always spoke about, the person that he says he is, the person that calls out everyone, that dismisses all the opposition at the top. And for someone who doesn't call people out, he called out everyone. Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier. He did not give a single f***, and rightly so. The man is coming to be a champion. Will he do that? We don't know. But I'll tell you what, after this performance, everyone's going to be taking him a lot more seriously. Kamaru Usman had high praise for Alexander Volkanovski in his performance at UFC 314. Usman thinks Volk's movement and jab were extremely impressive. Henry Cejudo, on the other hand, points out what he considers a hole in Volk's game. He explains why Volk may struggle in matchups against either Aaron Pico or Jean Silva.
This is another thing too about Volkanovski. This guy moved for 25 minutes. You realize that, Henry? Yeah. That was what I found fascinating. I was like, bro, this guy didn't stop moving side to side, side to side. This angle, that angle, 25 minutes, because he knew I couldn't stand there and brawl. Because when you stood there and brawled with this young bull, is in the moments where he did get caught. He did it a few times to let him know, I'm not scared of you, young bull. But those were the moments where he did get kind of stumbled and caught. But when he was moving, bro, that jab was money. I was so impressed by the concentration and his ability to stay on task and get the job done.
Yeah, and 100% I agree with you, Kamaru, but there's one area where I feel like a good striker could expose Volkanovski leaves his hands down when he's shooting and he comes up. That was one area, and then he's still cocking his head back, and that's a big problem, man. When you go up against a guy like Pico or Jean Silva, if he doesn't correct that, man, like that that right hand, like the Topuria, like he could potentially get knocked out.
Colby Covington says he thinks Islam Makhachev will be defending his lightweight title against Ilia Topuria at International Fight Week, and Dricus Du Plessis will defend his middleweight title against Khamzat Chimaev in the co-main event.
In the end of June.
End of June.
So like 2 months from now.
Okay.
So,
Who's
they haven't announced it, but I think it's going to be Makhachev and Topuria.
Oh, that's going to be a crazy one.
It's going to be a sick fight.
That's going to be
They're talking about maybe putting the co-main as, who's the co-main? I think the 85 title fight between DDP, Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev.
That's a crazy card, bro.
Israel Adesanya posted footage of him and Sean O'Malley training together. Michael Chandler has broken his silence since his TKO loss to Paddy Pimblett and has responded to fighters and fans suggesting that he should retire. Chandler posted this photo. He wrote, "Never out of the fight. This picture sums it all up. As long as I've got these heartbeats and hands to hold, I've already won." Chandler then responded to this post. It says Michael Chandler reportedly had a lengthy conversation with Hunter Campbell after being rushed backstage about the possibility of retiring, but he's willing to put it on hold if Conor McGregor ever decides to return. Chandler responded saying, "Fake news. Hunter and I will talk, but haven't yet." This user replied, "I don't ever want you to retire. You are what the sport is supposed to be like. You're excited to see everyone win." Chandler responded, "I will eventually, but not now. And thank you for the kind words. I'm living my dream, even in the painful moments." And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's in reference to Colby Covington going off on Paddy Pimblett and saying that Paddy's only beefing with him to try to keep himself relevant. The first one's from John O30197. Says Covington is literally describing himself. The second one's from Tyler. Says, "Am I the only one who skips it every time Colby irrelevant Covington has something to say?" And the final one's in reference to Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman suggesting that Michael Chandler should consider retiring. It's from Joshua Ferguson. It says, "Henry and Kamaru talking about if a fighter should retire is hilarious to me." Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.